Ik mag jullie welkom heten op de tweede sessie van de Corporate Risk Track. En onze spreker van vanmorgen is Ron Hakvoort. Ron is partner bij, voor wij is het nog steeds Enterprise Risk Services, maar dat mag je tegenwoordig niet meer zeggen. Hij werkt bij Deloitte, nu bij de Risk Advisory Club, waar heb ik net even van hem gevraagd, toen was ik ook niet op van de hoogte. Inmiddels 1200 mensen werken en met 50 partners. Zijn groep bestaat ongeveer uit 280 man. Hij gaat ons vertellen hoe AI in het corporate landscape beheerst kan worden en gebruikt. Veel succes.
Yeah. I anticipated a session in English, by the way. Who doesn't speak Dutch or understands Dutch? Yeah, okay, let's do it in English. Thanks, Albert, for the introduction. Very excited to be here. And yeah, who had thought actually that 1 year ago that we had a full day event around Gen AI. So that's it's really exciting times, and it is already changing our daily business. And what I would like to do in this, as Albert explained in Dutch, I will sketch a bit of the corporate landscape that we see at the moment and what's happening at our clients, share some perspectives around that, from an opportunities perspective, but also from a challenge perspective, and discuss also a number of things that I think are important for successful adoption of AI. This will be an entirely different session than the previous speaker. For those that were here in the room, that was really about life and death impacting by AI in a positive sense. I read a radiologist talking about this, but this will be a different angle to the topic of Gen AI. So actually, who am I? Indeed, I'm working at Deloitte, Risk Advisory. That's a practice that helps clients with doing responsible business. I have a foundation in IT audit, member of ISACA, of course, of the NOREA. But we also do a lot of risk management and support our clients with IT risk related questions. I'm very much enthusiastic about all the technology advancements, so including Gen AI. So yeah, that really makes me think and grow and learn each and every day in this topic. And within our team, I'm also the leader around the controls side of Gen AI. Not only what it will impact our clients, how to control it, but also to how it will change the way how we do our business in terms of auditing, how we do our reporting, etc. Gen AI will provide a lot of opportunities over there. Very exciting use case where we're working on. And if you ask Delhi to picture an IT risk management enthusiastic who loves to do mountain biking in his spare time and giving a presentation at an ISAC event, then you get this, including 6 fingers, if you might have noticed it, and some gibberish texts around that. So yeah, definitely there are some flaws still in there, but it's really amazing already what's capable of, and it will be capable of in the near future. So what's the agenda look like? My presentation is, so first of all, I will sketch a bit what's happening in the outside world, share also some perspective that we got back from our clients and surveys that we have done globally. And then I will dive in 3 critical choices that organizations, in our view, need to make to become successful in terms of AI adoption. AI is obviously around the corner already for decades, so that's nothing new. And also during my study 20 years ago, AI was already part of the curriculum. But yeah, as we all know, it's really accelerated, especially in the last year with the foundation models that become more and more mature, and especially the interface to those models, enabling users to make use of those foundation models. And also, if you look at the marketplace, I've included a number of statistics over here. For example, Goldman Sachs already indicates that in the coming 10 years, there will be very much a GDP growth expected globally of 7 trillion, which is mind-blowing. Also with the productivity growth expected of 1.5% globally. In itself doesn't sound much, but it's quite significant. If you look at the AI marketplace itself from the software technology hardware perspective, the IDC predicts it will be around 900 billion in 2026. And you see, of course, all the major tech players heavily investing big budgets in terms of finding GPUs to train the models, for example, but also developing those models and providing new capabilities. And if you look at, and if you would ask the leaders around of the businesses in terms of AI adoption, you see already that the adoption rate is increasing. I will continue or talk about that later on a little bit more. And actually, this picture of McKinsey, I'll talk about it a little bit more on this in the next minutes, for me was really mind-blowing. If you break down the human capabilities, so for example, creativity, natural language understanding, etc. And experts have been asked pre-generative AI, when do you think and expect that technology will meet with the median and top quartile human performance? You see all over the place. Those are the gray dots here. It's 2030 and beyond, 2060. But with the introduction of Gen AI, especially 1 year ago, you see that it's a major shift left. So, for example, if you look at creativity, where experts thought, wow, it will take a very long time when we can really meet the human capabilities. It's already possible, and nowadays with solutions like DALL-E, Pika, Runway, etc. That's of course also why the actors and script writers were striking in the US, of course, because they see their jobs endangered in that respect. Those, of course, natural language understanding, that's already possible at this moment, where predictions were quite in the distant future. So the bottom line here is it's very much accelerated. The capabilities are changing each and every day. It's really challenging to follow the news and all the new solutions that are coming up. So that also is challenging our clients, the businesses that we're helping with this. So that requires some AI agility, and I will talk about it a little bit later on as well. If we ask CEOs globally what they see happening, these are the results of last summer and last week also the results of the fall. This fall came in. See that the major expectations around increasing efficiency. Gen AI will help them to become more efficient. In the summer, this was around 80%. In the fall results, it's already 96%. So it's really increasing. Not only from an efficiency perspective, but also from a growth perspective. Those are the two major areas where the benefits will be from a Gen AI perspective. Also, if you ask companies, okay, to what extent are you already adopting Gen AI solutions? That also increased quite a lot. Top half, you see that almost half of the clients that we surveyed actually were experimenting in the summer. That's still the case, but a lot of new companies have joined that half population, and a lot of clients are now also in proof of concept phase and really in production, ready with first Gen AI solutions. And where do we see actually those use cases happening? It's actually all across the various industries. So it's not one industry that really stands out here. In my own practice, I see mostly clients implementing this technology around the customer-facing support. So like contact centers, etc. It's really helping them to increase efficiency over there. The session before this was really about, for example, the medical imaging one and diagnostics in the life science market. But all across the various industries, you see a lot of use cases popping up and being implemented at the moment. And for those that are interested, you can Google it. Also, Deloitte has kind of a website, dossier, which is really inspiring and provides you some strategic direction around use case in your specific industry, what we see happening over there. But as always, with great powers also comes with great responsibility, as Uncle Ben said to Peter Parker, Spider-Man. So let's talk a little bit around the challenges as well. Let's pick 3 of them. There are a lot of examples where there's impact on the reputation of companies. So there's, of course, the classic example a couple years back from Amazon, where AI was being used in the hiring process, where it turned out that only the white males were being recruited actually based on that AI algorithm. The technology was blamed, but it was actually the bias in the data that caused that. Another example is, for example, an attorney in the US that used AI actually to find prior legal court cases to be used in the court. But hallucination generated actually some court conclusions that were not existent. And he had a hard time at the judge actually to make his case, and was also penalized. And so you see, AI obviously introduces a number of reputational risks in there. There are a lot of change in the regulatory landscape. And so in the US, UK, EU, even China, new legislation is coming up around AI. The slides, you can update it almost each and every day. So recently, so Biden signed a directive order around the usage of AI, and also disclosure of information about the usage of AI in really sensitive systems needs to be disclosed to the US government, the test data, etc., that were being used. EU is still discussing the EU Act on AI. Last week, I noticed that there's quite some discussion in the committee at the EU where they try to actually dial down a little bit the restrictions. There's a lot of opposition from tech players at the moment where that AI Act should land. So it's a bit of a question whether it will be really coming into force in January. We need to see that. So and you see also, of course, a lot of AI adoption, but also I think shadow AI is popping up within organizations. I think it's quite challenging to actually be able to conclude whether you have a full picture, as for example a CEO or a CIO, to see how AI is being used within your organization. Ease of access of AI solutions is of course tremendous. A lot of your employees are using already OpenAI or ChatGPT, for example. So that's also quite a challenge to get grasp on that topic. What we also did is actually ask board members to see to what extent do you have already risk mitigating procedures in place. You see here and there, you see some mitigation procedures, or becomes into the scope of internal audit. Some bias assessments are done on data, but the majority you see there's still a long way to go actually in terms of how do you mitigate all the risks around AI. And maybe on the next slide provides a bit also some insights in there. You see that most organizations don't have a framework yet or policies, code of conduct. This is still in motion, and which is quite logical in terms of because of the experimenting phase where a lot of organizations are currently in. So that's good news for us, I think, as security professionals, internal auditors, external auditors. There's, I think, a lot of would work to do for us all to mitigate those risks and help organizations to become more responsible in this area. Then the second part of the presentation is really about, okay, what do we expect and what should organizations implement around the adoption of AI? What kind of capabilities are really important? And it's kind of a perfect storm. So there's a lot of technology advancements. So the capabilities of AI are changing each and every day almost. Like for instance, last week with the OpenAI conference, a lot of new things were announced actually in terms of the agent model, the AI GPT marketplace that is becoming available. GPT-5 was sort of announced, where even OpenAI themselves don't know exactly where what kind of capabilities it will have. So it's quite a unpredictable area in that extent. So what is very important is for organizations to build in some AI agility, and what it will mean and more tangible, we'll talk about that in the next slide. Then I will zoom in on AI governance models that we see that are important, and how do you cope with AI risk management. So AI agility is, as agility already assesses, it's really important with this type of technology, is to be able to rapidly respond to all the technology advancements. And we break it down actually in a number of key elements that are mentioned over here. And let me highlight a number of them. First of all is change by design. It doesn't work actually with long development roadmaps to work with that. So also, for example, internally at Deloitte, we have development teams that are focusing on developing solutions for ourselves and for our clients. And it's a constant matter of testing the various new foundational models, comparing the results with each other. You cannot, and also for example, the pricing models around foundation models are really also changing. Like for example, with the GPT-4 Turbo, the price is going to be cut with 2.5 times. And so the strategy around that needs to be really flexible around it. You cannot stick to rigid safeguards. Another important element is around the knowledge-centric infrastructure. So it's absolutely not only about the technology, but the domain knowledge that you have within the organization is becoming more and more important. So that means that, of course, you need to have data to learn your foundational models, but it's really important to catch it, to gather that data, to structure that data, to validate and curate the data, actually to make sure that the data models that you're using, or the foundation models, are really trained with solid data. That's also will drive the outcome of the foundation models. And the last thing I would like to highlight is about AI literacy. And with AI, also a lot of new capabilities become important for the organization. The small examples, for example, around prompt engineering. So it's very important for the user organization to be able to understand how you write solid prompts. The better your prompts, the better results you will get usually from the model. So for example, also at Deloitte, we did e-learnings, various learnings to our organization actually. So how does prompt work? What kind of elements are important there? And I think each and every organization, I think it's an important skill to learn. The development of AI is kind of a cycle. It starts with sensing and evaluate up until the monitoring part. And let me highlight a little bit on the sensing part, which becomes more and more important. because of the technology landscape, the different models and solutions that are popping up like mushrooms, it's really important that that the organization has an open mind and an active sensing capability to understand what's out there, what are the latest developments, also to see how it can benefit the use case that have been thought of internally. Also constant cycle in terms of what can be interesting use cases as part of the business processes within your organization. How can we further grow on that or increase efficiency? So the validation is very important. Selection of use cases is, against kind of a framework, is very important in terms of, is this an area where you would have, where you should implement AI? If you cannot follow the reasoning and the results of your foundational model, and then some of your business processes will probably not really, are probably not fit for using AI at this point of time. But also the testing of your foundational models, so that you, for example, use the various foundation models to actually balance the performance and test actually the outcome of that per model, per use case. And that's also important to see which model fits best for, with your use case. The model performance can differ quite a lot. And another important thing is around monitoring. So that introduces the concept of machine learning ops. Is also constantly monitoring the outcome of your model and your model performance, because the model capabilities will change over time. And so it is very important to make sure that the outcome of the model still suits with your needs, because the model performance can also decrease a little bit, as we have seen with ChatGPT advancements, that there was a slight drop in some use cases. So it's really important that, and that's quite a new capability for a lot of organizations to monitoring actually the performance of communication. And the second capability, and I think the good news, the governance in essence will not change, and probably will differ a bit per organization how this has been set up, whether you have your various lines of defense model, yes or no. But the key message here is that each and every stakeholder within the organization should play its role in the area of AI. So if you start with the board of directors and the audit committee, they should understand, of course, not all the technicalities, but they should understand also the risk around that, the capabilities of AI in a broader sense, to make sure that they can also play the oversight role on what's happening from an AI perspective, and that the risks related to that are well managed. It doesn't impact the reputation of the organization. And so for that, for example, specific labs tailored to those audiences are important to have, to really boost the AI literacy of those stakeholders within the organization. But also on the various lines of defense, each line of defense should play its role. From in the first line around development of that testing of your AI systems, validation, the bias in your data. There's a lot that should be extended actually as part of the capabilities in the first line. But also if you look at the third line, internal audit, compliance, you see also the audit mandates a little bit expanding around AI to make sure that risk around that are also covered. Extension of the frameworks that are required. Do we have a good view on the various use cases within the organization? Do we have kind of a register available in which areas AI is already applied or going to be applied? And does it meet with our risk appetites in the organization? And so bottom line is each and every stakeholder within the organization will be impacted with this. And this is not obviously a ball game that's being played in only in the IT department. Then the third one is around AI risk management. And of course, there are a lot of adverse potential consequences in the future with predatory reputational damage when AI goes rogue, impacting the shareholder value if you have a profit organization. And so that requires really a framework as an organization to where you can work along and also to support the business with that to keep it in the right direction. And I'm sure next door and in the other tracks a lot of stuff around frameworks is being discussed, and I will not zoom in on too much on that. And obviously Deloitte also has its trustworthy AI framework based on the various regulations that are coming up. But the framework itself, a lot of it, in our view, is traditional controls, but there are some specific areas where you need to extend to make it AI specific. Let us look at a example, because actually the framework itself covers a number of principles. So, of course, about ethics, about how it should be fair and impartial in terms of your framework. And so what does the AI do in terms of bias in there, but also around accountability. Who's really owning that AI engine or agent that you're using in the organization? What is the human oversight on that? So behind each and every of these particles, specific controls, suggested controls are there to help the organization to make it really tangible and to implement such controls. So a bit on the takeaways. I think with us all here in the room, we can play a very important role in there. And the first thing is, of course, ask questions internally. And so, do we already have a view on where GenAI is being used as part of the business processes nowadays? Do we already have some guardrails in place to guide it in the right direction? Where could it impact our business models going forward? That's important. And also, what do we currently do around mitigation of that? And a lot of those solutions are third-party solutions, which might be acquired through your vendors. Do we have a good understanding of that, and how do we mitigate that? And then next, of course, what is our strategy around that? And do we have the adequate skills within the organization? So not only the prompt engineer, but do we really understand how we're going to implement that? Are we tested? Do we have the right skills also at the management layer to understand what AI is capable of and what the risk around it? What are our monitoring capabilities? So a lot of questions to ask. And transforming into actions. Talked a bit already around AI literacy. So really, based on various stakeholders within your organization, boost the knowledge around AI. What does it mean for you as an end user? What does it mean for you as a business responsible for a certain process or a business unit? What kind of opportunities will it provide, but also the challenges around that. And promote also, for example, through labs, the AI fluency in the boardroom. You understand the capabilities around that beyond the headlines that are in the newspapers. And also talked a bit about the frameworks that are out there and still evolving to really make it also tangible and to monitor actually the risk around AI and guide it in the right direction. So that was a bit of the story, so around the challenges, the opportunities, but also the capabilities that we see are important within our guide organizations. We have ample time for questions.
Thank you very much, Ron. Actually, I have a first question myself.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of industries and where they use it, but I was actually asking how will it impact the IT audit profession itself? You know, when you look at the IT audit process, the nice thing I think is that we always have to invent our frameworks because we are just running after all the new technologies to get it under control. And we have to do the audit planning and the testing and reporting. So are you already in the process of implementing that in your practice? And how do you then prevent that when you use cloud-based AI tools that then also the knowledge of the clients is entering cloud?
Yeah. Obviously, of course, we have our own Deloitte GPT solution internally. So we not use the ChatGPT on OpenAI, but we use it as part of Azure AI with our own solution for that. That's how we can use client confidential data in there. But you ask a lot of questions. So our frameworks need to be adapted to make sure that we cover AI-specific risks, but also the way how we do our testing. So, sorry, wasn't me. So we have a number of use cases now into production because, for example, the level of documentation that is nowadays required from external auditor. If you compare it to 10 years ago, for example, that's tremendous. So we have a number of use cases now based on transcriptions of interviews that we have with clients. Automatically already evaluate the design of control based on that. What are potential deficiencies that we already know from that? What are the action points that we can derive from them and things that we agreed upon during the interview with the client, and to assemble a nice document request. Automatically do a kind of proposal for the reporting actually. Yeah? So the deficiency, the risk and the recommendations around that. So that will, for an IT auditor themselves, it will drastically change and I think make our life a bit easier. But of course the oversight on that and using your domain knowledge is still very important. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think it will be a huge challenge for the quality assurance department internally.
Absolutely. That was the biggest hurdle to get that solution into place. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
My question is more about the governance of let's say, AI. And where do you see most of the time this AI department? Is it like something you see usually in the IT, or do you expect it to be in the business to be, let's say, successful? Or
it's a valid question. In the current state, I personally see it mostly sitting within the IT department. Oh, that's the wrong slide actually. This one. So it's mostly within the first line IT actually. Personally, I do think that developing use case, you need to have the business involved in there, also to make choices around risk appetite, where to best implement those solutions, how to prioritize them, where do you put your money in terms of development. Upskilling also the business skills around to be able to use those solutions. And that also the user of those solutions are still feeling responsible. Okay, what's that? Do I trust it? Is it hallucinating? Yes or no? Etc. So it's really part of the IT department at most of our clients, but it should be of course, like always, it should be a connect between business and IT around this. Yeah.
Other question? Yeah.
So clearly it's a balance that you need to strike between going fast enough not to get behind in terms of competitiveness, and on the other hand managing risk. How can organizations measure where they are on that balance compared to other organizations?
We need terms of maturity around this one. Yeah. Which is by definition, I think each and every organization is challenged with that, because the advancements around technology are going so fast actually that you need that agility actually to respond to that. So I think it's a matter of that sensing capability that I discussed actually, and so to be open to look also of course what your competitors doing, but most important, how is the technology landscape look like? What new kind of capabilities are possible, and connect that with your business use cases. It is so much in the experimental phase actually. So I think it's focus on your own business versus the technology advancements. I think that's most important. I think, and of course there will be. You have also the effect of the wet van de Rem if you have also organization. But you need to have that sensing capability in place to make sure that you stay on top of it. Yeah, it's a bit of a fluffy answer maybe, but it's like that I think. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Feature. Do you help your clients to implement some sort of internal systems based on AI, and do you see some risks there, for example, regarding privacy and how it could be protected?
Yeah. I have a big clients who are in the temporary personnel business, placing people within other companies. They are already using for years mechanisms to do the kind of search and match capability actually. So that's where AI comes in, and where they're, for example, struggling with is actually kind of competing legislation. So on one hand, privacy, where you cannot register or store certain data like ethnicity or gender is also quite a sensitive topic around that. On the other hand, you want to have some information actually to make your AI a little bit better in terms of personnel placement or outplacement of personnel at your clients. So that's a big struggle. And also, for example, it's the radioloog that was having the speech here. He was also saying that we need actually rich data to make our models better. So things like ethnicity, gender, those kind of information is some legislation not able to score that. But on the other hand, you need to have the data to make your models more robust actually. So that's a big struggle that we see. So that needs to be ironed out actually also between the legislations.
Okay, we have still room for questions.
We see a question over here.
I say. Okay.
A question about frameworks, etc. In the past, when there were big changes like the development of Agile, that you saw a drive for working on best practices from larger financial institutions or companies, etc. What's your opinion on how this will affect certain frameworks, and when will this come new kind of next steps in frameworks? And what is the need for it, in your opinion?
There's certainly a need because if you look at this wheel, I think a lot of our frameworks so far were around security, around privacy, also the reliability of data. So that was usually always the focus of a lot of frameworks that we're using. But there are a number of new elements need to be added to that, add-ons to current frameworks. So I'm not saying that we can throw all the current frameworks overboard, but we need to extend it and also smarten controls within the organization, because also Gen AI will have I think a positive impact in terms of quality of control. I think a lot of organizations are struggling with executing all kinds of labor control each and every week, each and every month, reviews happening, etc. AI will also help to decrease, I think, the cost quality in executing those controls. So that's one element. And so there's also the element adding new topics to your control framework. And so you have, of course, list. Based on the EU regulation, you will have some new quality criteria that you need to add to your framework. And but this is still very much into development. So new topics will be added, but also the how do you cope with ethics? I think most first of all, let me speak for myself. Auditing how algorithms are developing ethics is totally different ball game actually that we are probably not used to do. So that's also we need to upskill ourselves as well. Understand what does ethics mean and how do you test that and judge that actually, and what kind of controls can you have in place to make sure that you stay with an ethical strategy within the organization, make your values.
Begint nog een vraag?
I think tech at least built on algorithms, which a normal business cannot go and say, okay, I want to audit your algorithm, right? Your company and our company took a copy of ChatGPT with a certain version and put it on our Azure environment, but still you're probably not able to audit then the algorithms that are used have trained the system and how it gives answers. Yeah. So how are you going to go about that?
So there will be a demand, and you also see some first SOC reports coming up, issued, for example, by OpenAI. But if you look at the SOC reports, it's just a tiny scope, entirely not covering actually what probably everybody's looking for. But I think a lot of this also boils down to a kind of a black box approach. And so consider that model as a black box. You put data in it as an organization to put your own domain knowledge in that data. You need to curate that, you need to reach that, etc. And you very much need to monitor that with what we're really talking about, monitoring the model performance, because the model performance at day one very much differ in the next 2 months when that model is evolving as well. So I think as a company, it's very important to have that machine learning ops capability within your organization to really make sure that whatever model you're using, it's providing with you results that are useful for you and not going in wrong direction. So I think a black box approach is quite important if you're using a third-party model.
One last question.
Yeah, just a question regarding the prerequisites for using large language models and the foundation that you need to start with generative AI. Would you say that data management, for example, data quality, data governance on structured and unstructured data is an absolute prerequisite to start with it? And are there any other absolute prerequisites?
Yeah. So indeed, we call it the knowledge-centered infrastructure. That's very important. So I think that should be a big focus for companies. Have to get there's also a challenge, get your data up to par. Your domain knowledge, which is often put in the ears of the people within your organization. Make sure that bias, which is usually there, so that's very important. So there should be more focus on the data that's being used actually to learn your algorithms. Yeah.
Okay. We've come to the end of this session, so we are now ready for the break and the lunch. Ron, I would like to thank you very much.
Thanks for
your nice presentation. And of course the very vivid interaction that we had on the questions. That was very nice. Thank you.
Dankjewel.